the compensation panel has processed 680 claims and paid out more than 674 million to 555 verified victims. In addition, 472 eligible claimants have had their state compensation delayed or put on hold due to insufficient supporting documents. Rigathi is on a fishing expedition. Desperate for attention to salvage his dwindling political virtues, disillusioned by his lack of national influence and bleak political future. He is a liar, a cheat, a conman, a political turncoat. A conman, callous and extremely unpatriotic. No wonder he has a dark heart. Lastly, I want to say this, and this one I want to make it very clear to him. ODM, my party, will never be in any formation that has Rigathi Gachagua inside. For now, into the future, and even for the next 50 years, if he's still alive. So stop talking about ODM. We will never be with you. And if ODM is dead, as you are saying, why are you talking about it? If ODM is dead, why are you talking about it? Do we normally talk about dead people? No. Why are you talking about a dead thing? He knows ODM is not dead. He knows very well that he has lost this plot. He wants us to be in the street and continue being in government until we removed him here for gross violation of the Constitution. If an impeachment motion is brought tomorrow again against Rigathi, we will still do it. With this kind of character I'm seeing here, we will even do it. So thank you very much. That is my contribution to this, and that is the position of our party, ODM.
Maybe you'll be asking yourselves why we have chosen to respond to Mr. Gachagua, we pretend deserves or warrants no response. And if you listen to Gachagua's almost 140 paragraphs, there were paragraphs of bitterness, conspiracy theories, unsubstantiated accusations, and political fiction directed at President William Ruto and this broad-based administration. Ordinarily,
it can get a little frustrating to keep track of everything, which is why you need OpenFloat, the #1 petty cash management solution.
And individuals of murder, assassinations, theft, abduction, and corruption without presenting evidence, the record ought and must be set straight. And that is why we opted to respond to Mr. Gachagua. And if we begin with the irony of all this, Mr. Gachagua is attempting to take stock of the 4 years of the Ruto administration, an administration that he served for a record 2 years of those 4 years. He sat in cabinet, he sat in National Security Council meetings, and he defended this government, its policies and its record, and even defended that unfortunate act in Embakasi when he attempted to assassinate the former Prime Minister, the late Honorable Raila Odinga. You will all recall all the acts of goonism perpetuated by Rigathi and directed by him would always be planned by him when President William Ruto was outside the country. That is what he did that day he attempted to assassinate the former Prime Minister. That is what he did when he directed goons under the command of 2 members of parliament from Embakasi who are working with him today. The same members of parliament who are under investigations for deaths in all Kalau that Rigathi turned around to accuse other people of. Those goons that attacked the Kenyatta farm in Ruiru. Again, I'll remind Gachagua, as I have reminded him severally, I sat with him in Annex building on Harambee Avenue when he was planning for the attack of the Kenyatta farm in Ruiru. And that is why I have consistently challenged Mr. Gachagua to come out. And you have heard Gachagua has never bothered to respond to those issues because he knows their truths. When I speak about Rigigun, I'm talking about somebody I know, somebody I have worked with, somebody I have sat in meetings with as he planned Gunism in this country. Let us remind Gachagua that he was not removed from office because of President William Ruto. He was impeached by the elected representatives of the Kenyan people in the National Assembly, tried by the Senate, and removed from office after the Senate upheld 5 grounds against him, including gross violations of the Constitution and undermining the President and the Cabinet. That is his record. So Rigathi cannot be the person lecturing us today, purporting to be giving a scorecard of what we have done. As we have said, Kenyans will judge this administration at the end of next year, this term, next year in August. And yesterday, we detailed to the Kenyan people the achievements that we have had in agricultural production. Just as I mentioned, the agricultural sector has very well recovered. Construction returned to growth of our economy. Investor confidence has strengthened in our country, and the country has undertaken some of the most consequential structural reforms since independence. That is Ruto at 4. Millions of farmers today have access to subsidized fertilizer, which has lowered their cost of production and helped restore national food production. A packet of maize that was retailing at 260 shillings only 2 years ago or 3 years ago is today retailing at an average of 160, and some brands down to 140 shillings. That is Ruto at 4. Universal health coverage has moved from a promise discussed by successive regimes and administrations into an actual national system being implemented across the country, with primary health care, community health promoters, and a new financing architecture designed to ensure that sickness does not become a sentence to poverty. Today, the same Rigathi who was telling Kenyans SHA does not work has witnessed villagers in Wamunyoro getting help as their bills are sorted under SHA. Mr. Gachagua may ridicule the affordable housing program. The mason earning a living does not ridicule that program. The young electrician getting his first contract does not ridicule that program. The mother moving her family from an informal settlement into a decent home will not ridicule this program, as those in Mukuru who have already moved to their houses and many other housing programs will not ridicule. That is Ruto at 4. Through the Hustler Fund that Mr. Gachagua alleges he cannot see its head or tail, affordable credit has been extended to millions of Kenyans who were previously condemned to predatory lenders, who today cannot get those people to lend to on predatory terms because they have access to Hustler Fund. Through the Nyota program and other programs, young Kenyans are receiving training on entrepreneurship, certification, enterprise support, and pathways into employment. Through labor mobility agreements, as I said earlier, Kenyans are accessing employment opportunities across the world. As Rigathi Gachagua ridicules families like that of Eric Mwangi from Nyeri, who he alleges to have died in Russia, while he is still well and alive. But that record is Ruto at 4. We have changed the conversation on infrastructure financing so that every road, railway, dam, and transmission line does not automatically become another burden on the Kenyan taxpayer in terms of asking Kenyans for more tax money to be able to finance these huge capital-intensive infrastructural programs. Through the National Infrastructure Fund and other reforms, Kenya is building a new architecture for mobilizing private and long-term capital for national development. That is Ruto at 4. I have heard Rigathi Gachagua ask about the High Grand Falls Dam, but that's a dam that stalled in the Kibaki regime. The high ground force that was conceptualized long before Rigathi even set foot in this house as a first-time member of parliament in the first term of the Uhuru Kenyatta regime. And those dams, now we can tell Gachagua, they will be done under the National Infrastructure Fund without burdening Kenyan taxpayers. Since Mr. Gachagua has invited the country to take stock, perhaps we should also ask, what did Gachagua do in the 2 years that he served this country as the deputy president? What transformative national program bears his name? What economic reform did he design? What national institution did he build? What lasting policy did he leave behind? What was his great idea for Kenya? And I dare ask, what is your great idea for Kenya today?
Shares.
Mr. Gachagua. Other than what you hear my colleagues say, the divisive politics of shareholding. For 2 years, he occupied the office of the deputy president. Yet today, his most memorable political legacy is not a program, a reform, or even an institution. It is a politics of shareholding. It is a politics of ethnicity. It is a politics of who voted for whom, and therefore who supposedly deserved what portion of the Republic of Kenya. Kenya rejected that philosophy. The Constitution rejected that philosophy of shareholding, and ultimately, Parliament rejected the politics that accompanied it and impeached this disgraced goon number one of our republic. That is why it is particularly astonishing to hear Mr. Gachagua lecture the country about constitutionalism and institutions. A constitution he never respected, institutions that he never respected when he was in office. The impeachment proceedings against him included allegations, as we mentioned, of undermining the constitutional institutions of our country, devolution, the independence of the judiciary, the president and cabinet, and the national values and principles of governance. He denied the accusations, as was his right. Parliament heard him, and Parliament made its determination, and he was removed from office. Those are not rumors. They are part of parliamentary record, and the courts have also vindicated Parliament in that impeachment process. Mr. Gachagua today, as we mentioned earlier, has made very grave accusations involving assassinations, extrajudicial killings, abductions, firearms, police officers, intelligence agencies, private companies, and senior public officials. These are not accusations a former deputy president should throw around like political confetti. If Mr. Gachagua possesses any iota of evidence of murder, assassination networks, stolen firearms, corruption, or the concealment of suspects, he knows exactly what the law requires him to do as a good citizen of this country. Present the evidence, present the name, present the documents, the dates, present the witnesses, and then hand them over to appropriate investigative and judicial institutions to take action. A former deputy president who sat in the National Security Council knows the difference between intelligence, evidence, hearsay, and political gossip. What Gachagua is doing today is nothing but political gossip. National security cannot be...
I just love this new guy. Victor joined our company and just made everybody's life better. No one has seen the guy in person.
Gachagua being no exception. He should not use our national security as a prop to seek political relevance. Neither should the pain of bereaved families be converted into campaign material. We have all listened in utter shock as Honorable Gachagua spoke about the late former Prime Minister, the late Ogola, and as my colleague has said, the same Ogola Rigathi opposed to be appointed as CDF simply because he hailed from the Luo community. Rigathi speaks about the unfortunate death of the former Prime Minister, Baba Raila Odinga, with no regard to the feelings of his family. Raila Odinga would not have traveled with the doctors he's traveled with from Kenya without the consent and approval of his immediate family. We want to plead with Gachagua to let those who have left before us to rest in peace and have the empathy to think about the children and the families of those who have left us, including those of the late Johanna Ngeno, who had very young children and a young widow who is at pain. You will remember Johanna Ngeno's widow and his immediate family learned about the unfortunate passing on of Mheshimiwa Johanna Ngeno from a public rally by Gachagua in Nyahururu, even before they formally got news of the accident that befell a husband, a father, a brother, and a son to an elderly mother. Rigathi, I have said before, you're a black man with a very dark soul and dark heart. Please spare bereaved and mourning families the pain of having to relive their losses as you play your cheap politics.
By the way, lastly, there is a story I want to share with Kenyans about Rigathi. You know, after the election, this is a very sad true story. After the election, when we went to the demonstrations, when ODM went to the demonstrations, and things were very bad, and the country was going to the dogs, the President of the Republic of Tanzania, on our own initiative, decided to come here and do arbitration between President Ruto and the former Prime Minister, my former party leader. I traveled personally. She came to Nyanyuki at Mount Kenya Safari Club. I traveled personally with the former Prime Minister to Nyanyuki and met President Suluhu. And the following day, we were supposed to meet there President Ruto. When we were waiting for President Ruto the following day, President Ruto called President Suluhu and he said that my deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, has told me you cannot go to that meeting. If you go, I will resign as a deputy president. So he said, I might end up coming to solve a crisis in Nyanyuki, but I might create another crisis in my government. So please, let us look for another way to deal with this matter. President Ruto is alive. I am alive. It's only majority is there. That is why ODM can never forgive Rigathi Gachagua. Yes. Because he wanted death and destruction for ODM. He did not want peace. And the country. President Suluhu is alive. Yes. President Ruto is alive. Junet is alive, who traveled with my party leader. Shungwa is alive, who was at State House with his leader. And he said, if you go to that meeting, imagine a foreign president came all the way. She landed in Nyanyuki to create peace and to arbitrate and to say that this is our neighbor, can we discuss? Gachagua refused. He said, if you go there, I am going to resign as deputy president of Kenya. So we told President Ruto, don't create another crisis, let's look for another formula, and we will still talk. And we still talked, and we still formed the Broadbased. And we are going to form more government before in the future. Thank you very much.
Don't take any question. So, that was it for today. Asanteni sana. Touching on CRBC, a Chinese company, and also alleged that there were also Chinese from Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And he tried to extort this money from CRBC, or China Roads and Bridges Corporation, over their alleged transgressions during the Uhuru Kenyatta regime. CRBC, being a state-owned enterprise owned by the government of China, declined his demands and expressed the same concerns to none other than His Excellency the President, and the President stopped Rigathi in his tracks in an attempt to extort money from these Chinese corporations. It is noteworthy CRBC contracts are subjected to all the laws of Kenya and scrutinized by institutions such as the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. And therefore, what Rigathi has been trying to do is to malign many of these Chinese corporations in an effort to try and extort money from them. We are here to tell all our foreign direct investors into Kenya, your investments, your contracts are safe, and even for us as members of parliament, we will safeguard your rights in line with the laws and the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. Do not allow yourself to be extorted by anybody. I want to leave it there for now and ask my co-leader, Junet Mohammed, to continue.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, my leader. I rarely listen to Rigathi Gachagua. I don't listen to him at all. But I just saw a few things he said today on social media. And he said that ODM is dead. I'm wondering, what does Rigathi know about ODM? Because him and ODM cannot be in the same sentence. Rigathi Gachagua is one man who has forgotten what he was 2 years ago. When ODM was in the streets fighting for the rights of Kenyans in 2023, Rigathi Gachagua is the man who summoned security officers in his office at 5 a.m. in the morning and told them to go and assassinate Baba. And Baba survived by the grace of God somewhere in Islam. The same guy is today telling us that he wants to talk to us about Baba. Rigathi Gachagua is the same man who said that his disagreement with President Ruto began after President Ruto started engaging ODM and Raila Odinga. The same man today wants to tell us about ODM and Baba. Rigathi Gachagua is the man today telling us about General Ogola. Is the same man who went to President Ruto and told him, don't appoint this man as the CDF, the Chief Defense Forces. He is a Luo, he is a Mutinia, he can do a coup, he can remove this guy. The same guy today has the audacity to come and tell Kenyans about General Ogola. You know, shame has no name. We have to give shame now the name of Rigathi Gachagua. We have to give the name of shame. As if shame is to be given a name in this world, then we have to give it to Rigathi Gachagua. Rigagun. So, leader, Rigathi lacks empathy and remorse. He is dancing on the grave of a patriot and trying to make political capital out of the death of a statesman. Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. May his soul continue resting in eternal peace. When Baba died and he was being buried in Bondo, all the leadership of this country, both in government and in opposition, were present. Did you see anyone looking like Rigathi Gachagua there? No. Up to today, he has not even gone to the family of Raila to tell them Pole. That's the same guy who wants to use Raila in statements here and there. Bure kabisa. It is in public domain that it is Rigathi who made an attempt on Raila's Odinga's life during the 2023 demonstrations, when he instructed security officers to aim at him. To date, he has never mourned Raila. It's a fact he hated Raila with a passion. In fact, now, he has transferred the hate to me. The other day, I was traveling with him in the same plane, British Airways from London. He refused to greet me. He refused. I told him, how are you, Mheshimiwa? No, don't greet me. I told him, what have I done? No, don't greet me. His wife, Dorcas, greeted me. Told me, no, just sit down. So that is the man we are discussing here in Kenya. You know, the opposition in this country has been reduced to the level of Rigathi Gachagua. It's very we are in a very sorry and sad state of affairs in this country. Yeah. Look at the kind of opposition we used to have in this country. And look at the garbage today we are listening to as opposition. Filthy. Talking about communities, ukabila, tribalism, you know, shares, what? That is how the opposition has been reduced to. It's very sorry side of state. God willing, we will have a proper opposition in the near future. People who will deal with issues affecting Kenyans in a proper manner. Not an extortionist who is extorting money all the way from aspirants of MCA in DCP to members of parliament, to governors, to senators. I know why he's ranting today. It's because of what happened in Naivasha the last 2 days. He saw the numbers. He saw the numbers. He saw the force. He saw the organizational. Now he has realized he's only working with 3 people. A man who cannot shave his beard, and another one, we don't know what he is, just making noise here in Kiambu. So he's scared, I know. And I know he will get, I knew yesterday, with those numbers, Rigathi will get scared, and he'll start maligning people's names. You know, long time in parliament here, in the old constitution, members of parliament used to be told to go get proficiency in English or Swahili. It's high time now we introduce a bill in this parliament that psychiatric test must be done on leaders. You go to Dr. What is his name? Dr. Njen Franka, and you get a certificate. Because imagine having a madman like Gachagua in a leadership position. You know, madness is not removing clothes only. You can be dressed with a suit and a tie and you're a madman. You're a madman. Now, he has forgotten all these things that my leader has talked about. Rigathi cannot talk about public debt. I saw him talking about public debt today. He is incompetent to talk about public debt. He lacks elementary understanding of economic management. When he was the deputy president, he considered that he lacked the understanding of economics in public. You remember? He said, "Mimi sijui mambo ya economics." That is why he never ever participated in any single meeting on economic recovery. He was in shock that we had taken over a government as a broad-based, where inflation was high, the exchange rate was high, and the country was almost defaulting on its debt with empty public coffers. Kenya's economy is now growing at 5%, higher than the global average of 3.3% of Africa, which is 3.8%. The IMF now ranks Kenya as the 6th largest economy in Africa. Of course, this is beyond Rigathi's comprehension. That's the truth. Rigathi claims that government-to-government agreement on fuel supply is fraud. Further reveals how clueless he is on matters global affairs. Kenya is the only country in the region that has managed a steady supply of fuel, thanks to G2G, which is now being adopted by neighboring countries. To secure social justice, the government of Kenya has developed a reparations framework and proceeded to compensate victims of protest and riots from as far back as 2017. I know why he's opposing that. Because he participated in maiming and killing of ODM supporters in the streets after the election. We know. Why was he going to the office at 5 a.m. in the morning? In darkness. He was planning against Baba. He was planning against ODM. Now, the compensation panel has processed 680 claims and paid out more than 674 million to 555 verified victims. In addition, 472 eligible claimants have had their state compensation delayed or put on hold due to insufficient supporting documents. Rigathi is on a fishing expedition. Desperate for attention, to salvage his dwindling political virtues, disillusioned by his lack of national influence and bleak political future. He is a liar, a cheat, a conman, a political turncoat. A conman, callous and extremely unpatriotic. No wonder he has a dark heart. Lastly, I want to say this. And this one I want to make it very clear to him. ODM, my party, will never be in any formation that has Rigathi Gachagua inside. No. For now, into the future, and even for the next 50 years, if he's still alive. So stop talking about ODM. We will never be with you. And if ODM is dead, as you are saying, why are you talking about it? If ODM is dead, why are you talking about it? Do we normally talk about dead people? No. Why are you talking about the dead thing? He knows ODM is not dead. He knows very well that he has lost this plot. He wants us to be in the street and continue being in government until we removed him here for gross violation of the Constitution. If an impeachment motion is brought tomorrow again against Rigathi, we will still do it. With this kind of character I'm seeing here, we will even do it. So thank you very much. That is my contribution to this, and that is the position of our party, ODM.